Chloe reads my diary.
I can't even defend myself.
Are we gonna kiss?
Hi, I'm Chloe, and this is my wife, Natalie. And
Hi.
Today, we are going to do some crafting together. We're both really into Over the Garden Wall, the children's TV show from 10 years ago. And we're gonna paint with acrylic paint and fabric medium on our shirts. And while we do that, we're gonna recount you
A 20-year-old tale of how this came to be.
It was very dramatic.
What do you think of our designs? We are doing a bit of a take 2. Let's just say that right off the bat, because take 1, we were like so concentrated on what we were doing, we could not talk in a way that was at all interesting. We were like, then I'm gonna, and then it's so boring.
Snooze fest.
So we're gonna try again, and like we're not even gonna do anything differently because we're still working on these freaking shirts hours later. But we are gonna try to bring the energy and actually be entertaining and actually talk about things that are actually interesting.
We were gonna film it too, right?
Oh right, let me tape my phone to the ceiling.
We made a timeline. We're gonna stay on track.
Let's take a sip of tea. This is supposed to be a nice cozy video, so you can get us a cup of tea, get us a cup of tea, and listen up. We're gonna talk about how we fell in love.
It only took 20 years.
You're gonna like it. We met in the 1st grade. I remember it. Chloe doesn't. Let me tell you what happened. My best friend and I weren't in the same class this year, but Chloe was in my friend's class. Chloe had just transferred to this school.
And I get there, and I sit next to Kate. Are we gonna say names?
Yeah. Kate meets me on the playground at recess and is like, hey, this is my friend Chloe, my new friend Chloe. She doesn't talk much. And I said, oh, hi, Chloe. And Chloe didn't say anything. And that is how we met. I don't remember what came next. All I remember is that moment.
And I remember none of that. And throughout elementary school, we were in our own friend groups. And like we went to each other's birthday parties occasionally. We have some pictures of us together.
Yeah, and sometimes our friend groups merged to do like make a movie together or something. We weren't very close. And then in high school,
I had a falling out with my previous
buttons
friends.
Undone.
I had a falling out with my previous friend group. Looking back, it was probably because I was really queer. But you know who was also queer? That whole friend group that Natalie was in. So I set my sights on them and just decided to start sitting with them. And no one ever said anything, so it worked really well for me. But we still didn't become close friends.
We weren't really close friends because the next year, Chloe went on a trip across the world with her family and she was pulled out of school for it. Mm-hmm. Then when she came back, I changed schools to focus on my dance career that I believed was going to be my future. Then I came back because I actually had a really bad time changing schools. I would not recommend it. And Chloe and I had all of our classes together. Yeah, we had 50% of our classes together, but that was a lot.
We had ceramics together, we had dance together, we had acting together, and we had biology together. And 3 of those classes are basically just big talking classes. Natalie is a big talker, so we sit down into ceramics on the first day. Natalie treats me like I'm the best friend she's ever had, and I learn all the Natalie lore that there probably is to know. We're tight. We're like inseparable. She cuts her finger really bad one time, her thumb, and I bring her ice cream. We start watching Game of Thrones in this very basement. I'm sleeping over at her house like twice a week. I'm over almost every day after school.
There's a toothbrush that belongs to Chloe at my house.
We can't get enough of each other. At this point, I have no idea that I'm queer.
Me neither.
And I've always had really, really close friendships with my best female friend. It has always been really intense, and I just thought that was normal. So then I started doing that with Natalie. Obviously, it's being really obsessive, just wanting to see her all the time.
Yeah, and then I kiss you on the mouth at a party.
Yeah, that really throws me for a loop.
As soon as I started having a sexuality, really, I would say that I struggled with it.
Yeah, Natalie was my first kiss. We went to a party together in grade 11 during March break. Our friends were all away at the time on a class trip that neither of us partook in. It was my first party. It was raining. I was standing on a little hill. Natalie comes up to me. I'm holding an umbrella. She ducks under my umbrella, kisses me on the mouth, and then leaves to go to talk to someone else. The same day, she has her first kiss with the boy who eventually becomes her boyfriend. Anyway.
No, he was never my boyfriend. I used to think it was really funny. Haha, funny, haha, it's so crazy that I'm straight and I have kissed so many girls, which is really embarrassing and cringy for me. now to say. I find it really hard to think about my high school self because I find her so annoying.
Well, I thought she was pretty charming.
And then I have in the timeline, I introduced you to Dan and Phil. And Dan and Phil play a really big part in our relationship, and you need to know.
In case anyone watching this doesn't know who Dan and Phil are, they are these two British YouTubers. They're best friends who live together. They're in their late 20s. Maybe Phil was in his early 30s at this point. I don't know. Natalie identified them. When she presented them to me, she was like, Chloe, these people are like us. And then I immediately become obsessed. I have a very obsessive personality. And I do a ton of research about them. I get super into Tumblr. I'm reading fan fiction. I'm like, oh my God, they're in love. And they're both gay.
So then I'm over here kissing Chloe at parties and then telling her that we're just like Dan and Phil. And in her brain, that is like me saying we're in love, which is honestly completely valid. And I'm sorry I'm sorry. I'm just so sorry.
The reason this Dan and Phil thing is coming up is because I started reading a lot of fanfiction about Dan and Phil, and I was really strongly identifying with the build-up to a queer relationship.
That was being
portrayed
in Dan and Phil fan fiction.
But I didn't know that I was gay. I just thought maybe I was sympathetic. Fast forward a little bit, Natalie and I are still really close. We're still kissing each other on the mouth for practice.
At this point, we decide we're going to move to Halifax together.
Yes, so we go to a university fair. This is now grade 12. We see this beautiful one in Halifax. It looks like a castle. We start jumping up and down, holding hands, chanting, we're going to go to university together. We decided that we're going to do this, and we signed up to be roommates. We're really excited to live together. Then, like a month later, we're at a sleepover together, and I've freshly read all of this Dan and Phil fan fiction. It's like, it's in the mind, you know? And Natalie starts saying things like, I want to date someone who's exactly like you, but who's a boy.
I think that I said that when I picture us going to prom, I picture this couple and this couple and us. Obviously I was dropping hints, but I don't remember this, and that needs to be noted. This whole time Chloe has this like written down in these diaries all these things that I've said that are like bonkers, like I would date you if you were a boy, and I don't remember any of this. I believe it. I believe you 100%. I'm just so shocked that I was so gay and so gay for you and didn't know it at the time, because it took me a long time to realize that that's how I felt about Chloe.
I wasn't even thinking to myself when this was happening, wow, I'm so in love with Natalie. I was thinking, oh my God, is Natalie coming on to me right now? That's what I was thinking, and I was like into it. I went home later and journaled, like, I think Natalie likes me, and I think that if she were to like kiss me or ask me out, I would be excited and good about it. In my journal, there's no me writing like, am I gay? Am I bi? What is going on? It's just kind of like an acceptance that I would
be with a girl if that girl
was Natalie. It becomes clear to me that it's not Natalie who likes me, it's me who likes Natalie. And then it becomes clear to me that it's not even a like, it's an in love, and it's really strong. It's not nothing.
And I slowly but surely start realizing that I'm not straight. You'd think I would have realized it by now, but I didn't. I kiss a girl at a party, and I really like her. Chloe sees me kiss her, and she goes up to this room to cry. And I notice Chloe's not at the party anymore, so I go to check on her.
Yeah, it felt like a punch in the gut, and I think I have written in there, like, if she could like me and doesn't, that's even worse than if she's just straight.
I notice Chloe's gone, and I go upstairs, and I see her crying, and I lay in bed with her, and I cuddle her. And I tell her that I'm actually bi.
This gets me going. I'm like, oh my God, I have to tell her. I have to tell her that I love her. And I like start hyping myself up to tell her, and like my heart's pounding, and I start like sweating, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna tell her. And then our friend's mom, who
is there making sure we're safe at this party,
comes in, and she's like, when I was your age, and then
she starts like chatting with us and giving us a heart to heart, and it totally interrupts Chloe's confession to me, and then I walk out of the room with her, like with the mom. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. We leave Chloe. Chloe never got to confess to me. And then I have here that afterwards, after Chloe almost confesses at this party, she does a bunch of research.
Yeah, I start going on a Reddit deep dive about other people who have confessed love to their best friends and how it's gone for them, like in the gay way. These Reddit people, these poor Reddit people, it went so poorly for all of them. They're like, and then I was bullied, and then I lost this friend, and I'm so sad, and I wish I had never done it. it and I'm reading all of these like firsthand accounts, all these primary sources. And I'm like, oh man, looks like if I say this, it's going to be the worst thing ever. And it's not even just going to blow up my friendship with Natalie. It's going to blow up my university career. We've already signed up to be roommates. We are going to this university together. I don't think I could go alone. So I decide that I actually can never tell her. And it will
go to your grave.
Go to my grave. I like shoot my shot with you a little bit, even though I decided I was going to take it to my grave. I say something like, wouldn't it be funny if like you and me dated? Like, we're like both bi, right? Wouldn't that be so funny? And Natalie says something to the effect of, that would be gross.
That's weird. We're friends.
And I take that really personally. Then we moved to Halifax together to go to university.
I'm really dead set I really want to get a boyfriend. I think that it needs to happen for me, and I try really hard, and I don't get one. I actually end up having a terrible time trying to get one. I just don't like it when they touch me, so it doesn't really work out.
I'm horrified that Natalie's gonna get this boyfriend and I'm gonna be like alone in our room all the time being sad by myself, so I jump at the first opportunity that's presented to me to get a girlfriend, and I get a girlfriend.
Yeah, and then the opposite happens, that I'm left alone. Yeah, and then I think I was a little bit jealous too, because we were basically dating in high school.
So then this girlfriend breaks up with me, and it's really dramatic and it ends really badly. And I am devastated. Natalie really helps me get over it, picks me back up on my feet. We're closer than ever. We decide we love living together, and we're going to move into an apartment together for second year.
We decide we don't want to date anyone else. Like, we don't want to date people anymore. It didn't work out, and it's not worth our time.
We go to queer prom together. People in our theater class think that we're together, and I'm like
We don't correct anyone.
Yeah, so we enter like time number 2 of us essentially being a couple without actually being a couple. We have the same major, so we have all the same classes. We live together, and we do our homework together. We read out loud to each other all of our readings.
We're having the time of our lives, being best friends in the whole wide world.
Yeah, just like Dan and Phil.
Just like Dan and Phil. And also, I think it's important to note that I was I'm really embarrassed to say this, I was a Dan and Phil are straight truther. And Chloe was a Dan and Phil are gay truther.
We know how that ended.
Chloe's always right. So then, during this time, we decide to go on a trip together. And we go to Korea. Are you the real Shrek? And we have a really, really good time in Korea. And
we're holding hands like the whole time. We sleep in the same bed because we wanted to get cheap Airbnbs. We have a really good time. I have like this thought in the back of my head that I'm going to tell you that I love you on the day that falls exactly between our birthdays while we're there. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to take you like up to this revolving restaurant in Seoul and tell you. And obviously that doesn't end up happening because I'm a big coward.
But what does end up happening is Dan Howell posts basically I'm gay.
Spoiler alert, I'm not straight.
And so this was crazy for me as a Dan and Phil are straight truther.
Yeah, we watched it together in the bed that we were sharing. That video really meant a lot to me. And what did you think, Natalie?
I thought, oh my God, I'm in love with Chloe. Because I always thought that we were just like Dan and Phil, best friends. The best friends of the whole wide world. And then he says that Phil is, they're obviously more than friends. That they're like actual soulmates.
And obviously we were more than friends, but it was more than just romantic.
And I remember like hearing him say this and looking at Chloe, and I was just like, are we gonna kiss? And the sad thing is I see that, I think that, and I am so disgusted with myself. I really, really repress it, and I feel really bad. So I obviously had a lot of internalized homophobia that I had to really wade through at this time.
Yeah, and I have no idea Natalie's feeling any of this, obviously. I think I'm still having my little unreciprocated gay love affair. It's just the biggest stereotype on the planet. That's what I think is happening.
And I just secretly hate myself for wanting to kiss Chloe.
And during this time, I'm struggling with a lot of shame and self-hatred too, because I worry that loving Natalie in secret and living with her is like a violation of her boundaries.
We both thought we were lesbian predators at each other. I didn't tell anyone in the entire world that I felt this way. So that's kind of really sad, but we made it through, guys. We get back from Korea, and then Chloe comes out as a lesbian.
What do I do? Do I watch all of the L Word and then decide?
Yeah, I think you watched all the L Word and we're like, yeah, that's me.
All signs point to lesbian. And I come out, and I'm nervous to come out to Natalie because I think that this whole infatuation that I have for her is like dead obvious, written all over my face. Like,
I know, but I'm head empty, no thoughts. I never thought that you liked me.
And so like everything that I'm saying, everything that I'm doing, I'm really like second guessing, and I'm trying to think of like what's appropriate and what would a friend do in this situation, and you know, I'm like really in my head, as I often am, and I'm not telling anybody, and it's really like starting to like bubble up and boil in me, you know? Is
Poor
that the next
thing.
thing that we talk about? Yeah, right? Love confession?
Oh, yeah. Then I start considering that I might be gay, too. Like, that happens first.
Yeah, but Natalie doesn't tell me this.
Oh, I don't tell anybody. I'm homophobic. Deep in my heart. It's really sad when a lesbian is homophobic. And then Chloe tells me that she loves me in a very weird way.
Yeah, so I'm having a lot of like feelings of shame and anxiety about being a bad person and about lying and about keeping this huge secret that everyone's going to hate me for and feeling like I'm a bad person. And I just feel like I need to tell Natalie so that she can reject me and I can move on.
Yeah, so Chloe is like in her room and her door's open and she looks really distraught. So I come in.
And I don't even plan to tell her this. I like still kind of a part of me thinks I'm going to take this to my grave. And then Natalie comes in and I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell her. I say something to the effect of like, I'm in love with you and have been for years, and I need you to tell me you're never going to love me back so that I can get over it.
Like, what are you supposed to say to that? I don't even remember what I said. I remember that I wanted to smile, but I felt like it was really inappropriate to smile. And I have this problem to this day when something really intense is happening. I like kind of want to laugh. I give Chloe what she wants. I tell her that I see her as a friend. I think I say something like that.
Yeah, and this really affects our friendship.
For temporarily, I think. It affects our friendship. I think we get over it.
Yeah, so we used to be like very close physically, emotionally before this love confession, and it like really affects the way that we interact with each other, and I just feel so awful about it, and I've spent so long hiding this from the other two people that we live with and from our friends and from everyone. And Natalie ends up confiding in them about this, and I'm like devastated now that more people know and that everyone's like talking about this and that everyone knows how terrible I am.
Well, that's not what anyone was thinking.
That's what yeah.
It seems like crazy. You're probably thinking, Natalie, if you knew that if you wanted to kiss Chloe in Korea, why couldn't you say this to Chloe at the time? And I think the answer is that I don't know. I knew that I really wanted to have kids like one day, and I just don't think I knew that gay people can do it. Like, I obviously knew logically that there are queer families out there, but I thought that I was bi. I thought that I was gonna date a man, and I just wasn't ready to come to terms with my sexuality.
After this love confession, I tried to get into a relationship as quickly as humanly possible so that Natalie could feel a bit more comfortable around me, I thought.
And then I also got a boyfriend. So right after Chloe confessed, COVID hit.
I confess, and then COVID happens. We're in lockdown. My parents call me and say, Chloe, I'm worried that the provincial borders are going to close. Do you want to come home? And I say yes, and I dip out of there so fast.
So Chloe's gone, and I get a boyfriend, and then I'm long distance with my boyfriend because I'm gone too. And you get a girlfriend, you're long distance with your girlfriend. I just want to say that even though our friendship was kind of on the rocks, that did not stop us from spending as much time as humanly possible with us. Like, nothing ever stopped us. Chloe brought me flowers at my workplace in a vase, hand-picked roses, and I had them on my desk.
Well, I was having a really hard time finding a job, so I was collecting the money that the government was giving you, and I didn't have a job, so I would come to Natalie's workplace every day and have lunch with her, and we would talk a lot about the relationships that we were in, and I think mine was maybe a little bit better, but there was a lot of things that were bad about it, so we both kind of just spent time together and complained about parts of the relationship that we were in.
And then Chloe broke up with her girlfriend, and I was still with my boyfriend, and then people didn't really care so much about hearing me complain. Chloe kept on telling me to break up with him.
Yeah, well, she seemed unhappy.
And I was, and I should have. Anyway, I waited till he broke up with me. After that, I was ready to confront my sexuality again, and I dated a girl. Realized I was a lesbian, dated another girl, had a girlfriend for a bit. And I think that helped me, doing all that helped me realize that I was a lesbian, obviously, and not hate myself for it. And it just took me a while to not hate myself for it.
During this time, I was trying to be over Natalie. I was dating other people, and it wasn't going super well for me because I'm demisexual. My attraction to people is dependent on an emotional connection, and casually dating doesn't really bring up emotional connections that much, you know?
Yeah, and then I had a girlfriend who was pretty nice, but we were kind of we were quite casual. Neither of us really wanted to.
Knee deep in the passenger seat?
No, I wasn't.
Natalie and I start putting into motion moving back to Vancouver. We start taking steps to make that happen, like buying a car that we're going to drive across the country.
A very important milestone has come into our lives. We have purchased Melvin. Around this time, our house community, we used to all buy groceries together and pay bills like all together and share a debit card all together, and that fell apart
because now we're working instead of being in university. We all have very different schedules and people have like different priorities.
So that fell apart. No one wanted to continue that except Chloe and I did. So Chloe and I get a joint bank account together. While we're doing this, we're kind of like talking about it as if we're a couple.
We're like letting the person who's selling us a car believe that we're a couple.
Yes, and we're letting the person who's opening the bank for us believe we're a couple. And anytime...
And they're asking us if we're common law, and we're like, yeah, we've been living together for 5 years.
We start acting like a couple. I cannot explain to you what is going on in my brain and why I start doing this. Is like high school all over again, and I have a girlfriend. But I start to realize that I have really big feelings for Chloe since Korea, and that I've really repressed it and really tried to bury it. And now that I'm out as a lesbian and now that I'm loving myself more, I'm realizing that I've always loved Chloe too. So I write about this in my diary. Then my girlfriend at the time has a really tragic family emergency and she moves back home. And I go to visit her and Chloe reads my diary.
I can't even defend myself. It was really bad. And don't do that. Like, maybe there's some advice deep in this video, but that's not the advice. I just want to say that I do not care that Chloe read my diary. I do not mind at all. So no one's allowed to be mad at Chloe for reading my diary. I'm not mad, so you can't be mad. Yeah, it was really bad of me. I was in her room looking for her address book so I could send a letter, and I found her diary instead, and I saw my name in it, and the sentence that I read was, if I die tomorrow, I hope Chloe reads this.
Of course, if you open a book and it says, if I die tomorrow, I hope your name reads this, you're gonna read it. Like, I just don't blame you at all. You're gonna read it. So Chloe reads it, and in it...
It's very incriminating.
In it, I say things like, I have loved Chloe since... I haven't reread it since I read it to you and then you told me you had already read it. I haven't touched the book again in a while, so I don't really remember exactly what I say, but it's something like, I have loved Chloe since Korea. I can't believe I didn't tell her that I loved her back. And then in it I also say, like, now she could never love me because I rejected her. And we want different futures because she doesn't want to get married or have kids. And I totally always pictured myself getting married and having kids. So me and Chloe can never be together because I've ruined it. And so I can't ever tell her this. But if I die, I hope Chloe reads this. It says something like that. Very, very dramatic. I accidentally made it really black and I don't like it.
What color were you hoping for?
I was hoping for like a dark browny yellow. Can you pass me the yellow? Yeah. See if I can fix it. So Chloe reads that. Her immediate reaction is to text me telling me how much she misses me.
I get it into my little head that I have a shot.
When I get back from visiting my girlfriend, Chloe starts like dating me.
We were like already dating, but I'm just
taking
going
me
hardcore.
out on dates, sweeping me off my feet, and being super like affectionate and stuff. I'm like totally accepting all of this. No big deal, you know?
It's not that different from how we were, but I guess I'm just being a little bit less restrained in my affections.
So then one night, Chloe and I are like cuddling and watching Fantasy High, I think. I tell her that I think that we are already in a queer platonic relationship. What I mean is that our friend who was going to move into the bus with us dropped out and it was just going to be us. We have a joint bank account together. I've agreed to like adopt this cat with her. I originally would always say that this is not my cat because I never wanted her, but now I'm one of her primary caregivers and I've agreed that I'm basically that cat's other mom with Chloe. You know,
building a life together.
We're building a life together and we're building a future together. I say I feel like we're already in a queer platonic relationship. And I don't really know what I wanted from Chloe, but this gets really blown up. Because Chloe has a big feelings.
I feel like we cannot be having this conversation without Natalie knowing that I'm still in love with her. I feel like we can't be having this conversation while Natalie has a girlfriend. I say all this to her. She says...
No, do you know what else you say?
Well, you say, it's not like we can be together because you don't want to get married and have kids. And I say, I would get married and have kids if I was with you.
Yeah, Chloe said, I remember it quite clearly. You said, I'd marry you. I'd have kids with you.
Very accusatory.
It gets really big, and we decide that we can't actually talk about this because it's actually, I felt like I was cheating on my girlfriend if we continued to talk about it.
Well, the other thing to note is that you told this girlfriend that you felt like we were in a queer platonic relationship.
I did.
And that was something that made you feel like it was okay to bring to me.
Yes, I did. My girlfriend asked me point blank why I wasn't dating you.
Yeah, I'm not really doing the right green either, but you know.
It's a cute color. I think that
ain't
looks
that
good.
just the way?
I think it's a good green, baby. My girlfriend's back in town. Chloe gets COVID. So this whole thing is being put on pause, you know, this whole conversation that we need to have.
I'm writing the angstiest things in my journal this whole time. I'm like beside myself. And I've tried so hard to like figure out how I can be her friend and like not be creepy. And now like we're doing this and I don't know what this means. And
my girlfriend and I at the time, we were kind of like aware that we were breaking up basically when she got back. It was a very strange, like caught in limbo type of thing. Like we were just gonna like spend time together while she was in town, kind of like to say goodbye. While me and my girlfriend were in limbo, kind of like broken up, not really. I was talking to my sister on the phone about all this, and she was like, about time you guys got together and fell in love. And I was like, ha ha ha, it's so funny. We're having a conversation about it on this day. I'll let you know how it goes. So then I tell Chloe that my sister said like, about time you guys fell in love, kind of thinking that it would be funny. It was not funny. Chloe's response was, how dare you say this to me after I've loved you for all these years? How dare you say this to me while you still have a girlfriend? How dare you? And I get dropped off and I have to go to work. I can't like continue this conversation. And it's a 5-minute drive. So this all happened in 5 minutes. Chloe was absolutely furious with me. And I knew that I needed to tell her in some way that I felt the same way about her as she did about me. So I made her a playlist while I was at work.
The gayest playlist you've ever heard in your life.
I made her a playlist about everything that I felt. And it's so embarrassing to look back at it now. But I did do that. And I sent it to her while I was at work. And I was like having to go to the bathroom a lot while I was at work.
Yeah, so...
a bunch of songs, very dramatic.
I sobbed. It was crazy. That felt like a love confession to me.
Yeah, but then we needed to still talk about it, obviously. And we had opposite schedules, we should mention. Like, Chloe worked at 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I worked at 4 p.m. to sometimes 11 p.m.
So we barely saw each other.
We barely saw each other, and it was tough, you know, because we've been in love this whole time. My girlfriend and I officially broke up, and I met Chloe in the forest somewhere. I had dinner made. I had everything.
She picked me up. I was so nauseous this day. Pop and gravel. I was like beside myself with anxiety.
Yeah, so that's how we started dating.
Yeah, so do you want to describe what it was like?
Well, yeah, we were in the forest, and I'd made soup, and it was March 22nd. It was freezing cold, and
there was like snow on the ground.
Chloe didn't have any mittens. We were both being so weird.
I was wearing socks on my hands.
Yeah, I think I had an extra pair of socks in my bag. And we were just like chatting about nothing and trying to be normal.
And then I said, actually, you know what? I never want to talk about it. I changed my mind. Let's never talk about it again. And we kept on going further and further into the woods to try to seek shelter from the wind because it was so windy and so cold.
Eventually, we decided to sit on the ground.
And Natalie wanted me to go first, which is rich, by the way, coming from her, because I have been going first for years. And I basically lay it all out for her. I'm like, I want to build a life with you. I want to be with you. I want you to be my life partner, and I want to do the whole thing with you. I want to do everything you want.
Chloe's like, I'm in gay love with you. I want to do gay stuff with you.
Yeah.
And I said,
I want to get married to you. And then Natalie was like, yeah, I'm in.
I just said I'm in.
And I said, should we circle back to this in a couple of months? And then she like tells me about like in Korea I wanted to kiss you, and
when you told me that you loved me, I wanted to come back into your room and tell you I loved you too.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you got to remember that she didn't tell me that she loved me. She told me, you need to tell me that you'll never love me back. That is so scary. So let's just finish the story and then we'll show you the final product of the shirt because I think I need to work on it tomorrow because it's making me feel stressed.
Okay, so we decide we're dating.
We take things really, really slow and it was really, really cute. I think at the beginning, I think it's really cute.
Well, Natalie tells me right at the beginning that she doesn't want me to tell anyone. And
Right.
I think this is devastating. She doesn't actually want to be with me. I'm going to be her little gay secret.
I just wanted to experience it first before everyone knew. But that lasted just a few days before I was okay telling people. Just a few days. I just needed to like process everything. We have our first kiss and Chloe wanted to kiss me right away and I was really nervous about it because I don't know what's wrong with me, but I was kind of nervous about it. So I told her that I wanted to initiate the first kiss. And I think that lasted one day before I was like, okay, actually, we need to have our first kiss right now. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to walk from opposite sides of my bedroom together until we hit and then we'll kiss.
I wasn't really nervous about the kissing before this, but this really made me anxious because the fact that Natalie was nervous to kiss me and then wanted to do it and she was describing this moment as like a passionate embrace, I was like, this is a lot of pressure for me. What if I don't live up to it? And Natalie, because at this point,
just having fun. Okay?
At this point, we've essentially agreed that we're going to be married and have kids together. Like we've agreed that we're going to be life partners forever. And I'm like, what if she hates it? This is terrible. I've like finally gotten to the place that I've always wanted to be with Natalie, and now I'm going to be a bad kisser and it's going to ruin it. So I'm like, okay, I need to brush my teeth. So I go to brush my teeth and then we come into Natalie's room and we're taking steps closer to each other really slowly.
I think it's cute.
We get to the middle, we kiss. It's lovely. We're kissing for a couple of minutes. We break apart. I say, was that okay for you? And she says yes. And then I just am like so overcome and overwhelmed that I start sobbing.
After we kiss, I pretend to skateboard away because we just watched Fantasy High and that's how Fig first kisses Ida. She kisses and then skateboards away. And I thought that was funny. So I was just joking around.
Natalie's having
and
a great
I like
time.
turn around and Chloe's sobbing.
I have so many feelings, okay?
So I think it's all just fun and games. But it's not. It's really serious business.
Natalie asked me to be her girlfriend. We start seriously dating. We're like going on a bunch of dates. Natalie tells me that dating me is like a movie and is super cinematic. We like already know that we're compatible. We live together well. We're good housemates. We're best friends. We have all of the same values. And yeah, we're just being in love and being honest about it. I think it's also kind of interesting to note that around 2022, I stopped being really like negative and harsh on myself in my diary entries. And I'm just noticing that today.
Chloe's diary entries at the beginning were like, what is wrong with me? I'm such a fuck up. I'm the worst person in the world. And then her diary entries before we start dating are saying things like, it's important for me to be compassionate to myself and not be ashamed of myself. I will not live in shame.
I know.
So it's a very big tonal shift.
I know,
I think it's really nice. And I also no longer felt so ashamed. At the beginning of a relationship, we had a couple like fights. It was about the fact that like I felt like I was the villain in Chloe's story. You know, the classic like straight best friend who like leads you on, and I felt really sad about it, and it was hard for me to talk about our history, this timeline, because I felt really guilty. But I think that right now I can look back on it and I can think it's kind of funny and easy to laugh about and to tell people about, because I know that like when you first confessed your love to me, it totally doesn't make sense for us to have gotten together because I was experiencing so much internalized homophobia and I was
so ashamed of myself, and
yeah, we were both so ashamed of ourselves and
so full of like self-hatred.
So how you know what RuPaul says? If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love anybody else? And it's so true. And so I couldn't love Chloe until I accepted who I was. And I think I left you a note once on your bed that said, I've always loved you and you're the only person I've ever loved and the first person I've ever loved. I just like was too ashamed of myself to realize it when I first started loving you. That you are the first person I ever loved and the only person I've ever loved. I'm certain of it.
Well, I feel the same way about you.
Aww. Aww.
Yeah.
So then we drive across the country together.
And we bought that bus. You've seen the bus, Whimsy. And we built him out. And
we lived in him for a bit. And then we got engaged.
Yes. Oh, wait, I haven't asked you.
We got married.
February 3rd, 2024. Finished casting my wedding ring today. It was expensive, but alas, What a fun time to be alive. I can't believe I get to marry the love of my life. I can't believe this is my new normal. Then again, it feels natural, like this was always meant to happen. I think that's a nice place to end it. Except for the reveal, which is, stay tuned.
One, two.
Sorry, what?
Thank you for watching. We put cardboard in the shirts when we painted them. I thought it was going to be a great idea.
It's so you don't get it on the back of the shirt. No one wants a little leftover on the back.
But that means that there was cardboard stuck to the paint on the inside of the shirt, and it hasn't come off yet. So I'm going to have to do some peeling.
Scrub it.
Do some scrubbing. So hopefully that doesn't damage it, and it's just a little scratchy. But maybe it'll just come off with time. I don't know.
The acrylic paint medium painting on shirts worked really well so far. Would recommend.
Yeah, it's really fun. You can have like any color if you have acrylic paints. You just need the medium.
I know. Like, why wouldn't I paint on every single shirt I own now? Anyway, just coming on here to say this worked out. This worked out. Hopefully this video works out. And then, yeah. Bang, bang, bang. Woo! Okay.
Like, subscribe, and check out our other videos if you want to. And comment down below if you also were in love with your best friend.
Yeah, tell us how that went for you. And if it's going well, A+. And if
Yeah.
it's not doing anything right now because you haven't told her maybe, then tell her. That's my advice. So
And
official advice, don't read her diary. Do tell her. Be honest about it. And, you know, maybe say, like, something a little bit less upsetting that you have to tell me that you don't love me so I can get over it. You know? Like, maybe bring the Riz. You know what I'm saying?
Bring the Riz.
This is how you bring the Riz, in case you're curious.
And she'll probably say yes, or maybe she won't, and that's okay, because you can still be friends unless she's a bad person.
Yeah, and in that case, like,
Good
get her out.
riddance.
Just popping on here with a little bit of lesbian hope. We've been seeing a lot of lesbian despair in the media, in the everywhere. What's that word? That,
Zeitgeist?
in the zeitgeist, tons of lesbian despair. So hopefully this is just a little bit of lesbian hope. Just sprinkling it into the zeitgeist. Some for you. Oh, it's some for you. It's some for you. It's some for me. Well, tons for me. It's really good for me.
Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Uh-oh, she looks mad.